Through her shell companies associated with her real estate company, Karen had been picking up properties across the neighborhood whenever homeowners were compelled to sell, usually after being driven out by overwhelming HOA fines and citations. And now, she was after an even greater prize. Merrick concluded, apparently she's been in behind-the-scenes negotiations with Meridian to buy the lake property herself. Not for the HOA, mind you, for her own development firm. I heard she intends to limit access to the lake and construct upscale homes on the lakefront. This accounted for the impromptu fishing prohibition. It wasn't due to any concerns about the environment. It was due to limiting lake use to prepare for private development. But if that was sounding heartless, we were only just getting to learn how far down Karen's ambitions and means went. Merrick introduced me to Samuel Washington, a retired banker, and among the very few residents who had dared oppose Karen's leadership. Samuel welcomed us into his study, where he laid out a scrupulously maintained database of HOA activity over the course of a decade. I did this for my own records, he said, waving toward spreadsheets, but patterns emerged. The records were alarming. People of color, as homeowners, were cited nearly 3 times more than whites. New arrivals were cited for what longtime residents got to ignore, and homes sold in duress almost invariably went into the hands of shell companies, tied to Karen's empire. She never purchases outright, Samuel replied. Wellington Holdings, Lakeside Investments, different names, one owner. 6 houses over 5 years had all followed the same path. Overload of violations, depreciating value, rapid sale, and a profitable flip. Merrick nodded sternly. The lake is her destination. Meridian, the current owner, was in distress, over-leveraged in the recession and attempting to sell assets to pay off debt. The lake was among their last unencumbered properties, and that's when we knew this was no neighborhood turf war. It was a high-level financial game, and Karen was wagering the house. In the days that followed, Samuel introduced me to former colleagues who assured us of Meridian's desperation. Karen had 60 days exclusive negotiating time, but Meridian would take a higher offer with prompt payment. Merrick snuck around and set up meetings with other neighbors. We changed venues to keep a low profile. All the stories were similar in their uncanny way. Selective enforcement, retaliatory fines, overt discrimination. I hung the same Christmas lights for 15 years, James Morris explained. All at once, they broke a brightness ordinance the day after I had criticized her in a council meeting. My foster children were forbidden from the pool for being too loud, Maria Gonzalez reported. No regulation was given, just Karen's executive fiat. Diana Winters had her home checked by Karen herself, then was issued 5 violation citations. Each anecdote was a part of a much greater puzzle, and collectively, we were about to turn the board. We created a secure messaging group. I dug into Karen's finances. She was heavily leveraged beneath the surface, employing lines of credit to finance her lifestyle and real estate grabs. This is not just for gain, I said to Merrick and Samuel. It's survival. If this lake deal falls apart, she falls apart with it. We contacted Robert Chen, a local real estate broker. He verified that Karen was having trouble financing the purchase of the lake. Her bid? $300,000 in 18 months. Complicated and questionable. Meridian needed out. Quickly. I made my offer. I'll give you $350,000. Cash. Close in 7 days. Meridian leapt. A letter of intent was signed. I employed Thornycroft Holdings, a shell entity, to keep it under wraps. Retaliation started almost instantly. Weed control, mailbox height, unauthorized landscaping, $2,000 in fines in 2 weeks. Violation photos appeared minutes after supposed infractions. Someone was watching us. Other residents were hit too. Maria's lawn, James's bird feeder, Diana's recycling bin, all suddenly rule violations. And then, they came for my daughter. Kids at school said we were troublemakers. Her classmates were told we didn't belong. That night, I nearly broke. But the following morning, I received the call. The environmental report was approved. Meridian's board agreed to my offer. The lake, and 10 feet of shoreline, was in my possession. The trap had been set. Karen simply didn't realize she'd already entered it. The following morning, Karen convened a community meeting to share her ideas for lake enhancement. She talked for 20 minutes. Slides, renderings, assurances of property value increase. She didn't say that her business would stand to gain from the development, or that she didn't actually own the lake. At the meeting, she insulted me in a backhanded way and publicly embarrassed Samuel. What she didn't realize was that I'd already submitted to cancel the recreational use agreement, as of immediately. Then came the party. Karen hosted a lakeside soiree, invite only for longtime residents, a defiant, ultimate exercise of control. That's when I arrived. Merrick, Samuel, my attorney, a police officer. I grabbed the mic. "Good afternoon. Enjoying this lovely day on my property, I hope." Karen went white. "This land was recently sold. I now own it. The HOA's contract ran out. You're trespassers." Gasps. Stunned. Shock. "I'm requesting that you leave peacefully. Officer Reynolds here to make that happen." Karen complained. Threats of lawsuits. I smiled. "You always made us stick to the rules, Karen. I'm just doing the same." In a matter of days, I posted water test results, diffusing her smear campaign. I announced plans to restore the lake, develop an educational program, and offer fishing passes to all kids except those of current HOA board members. Resignations started. Veronica Palmer. 2 others. Karen attempted bribery. Merrick recorded her offer. Then was the coup de grace, security tape of Karen invading at night, dumping chemicals into the lake. She was arrested. Investigations ensued. Financial malfeasance. Targeted enforcement. Her empire started to unravel. 2 weeks hence, I hosted a community meeting. I proposed transferring lake ownership to a community trust, if 3 prerequisites were fulfilled. Full HOA leadership rebuilding. Fair regulation renewal. An independent ethics committee. Then, the punchline. I've also bought mortgage notes on 20% of the houses, including Karen's. Gasps. Again. I won't foreclose. In fact, I'll refinance, once we rebuilt this HOA into something just. The vote had passed. Karen quit. There were lawsuits. Her business folded. The lake was renamed Rachel's Lake. My daughter and I organized a community fishing day. Laughter, learning, healing. "Mom would be proud," she said softly. I nodded. Of both of us. Today, the community is thriving. I turned down a mayoral campaign and instead started a scholarship in Rachel's honor. Sometimes, justice isn't about fighting harder. It's about knowing how and when to change the game. And if you're watching this while facing your own HOA nightmare, remember, there's nothing more dangerous than someone who understands the rules and is willing to wait for the perfect moment to use them.